Imagine sitting on a moving bus and looking out the window. Have you ever noticed that things outside seem to be moving past you? Well, that's because you're in motion relative to the ground. But what if you're inside the bus and looking at the other passengers or objects? To you, they are not moving at all. Reference frames are like the different perspectives from which we observe motion. They help us understand whether an object is in motion or not. Let's break it down. Fixed reference frame. A fixed reference frame is when observing things from a point that's not moving. For example, standing still on the ground, you're in a fixed reference frame. From this perspective, you can see whether other objects are moving. If you see a car moving down the road, you can tell it's in motion because it's changing its position relative to your fixed point. Moving reference frame. Now, let's go back to the example of the bus. When you're sitting inside a moving bus, you're in a moving reference frame relative to the ground. The objects outside the bus may be moving quickly past you, but the passengers and objects inside the bus appear relatively still because they're moving at the same speed as the bus. This doesn't mean they're not in motion, they're just in motion together with the bus. Relative motion. Reference frames are important because they help us understand relative motion. Relative motion is how an object's motion appears depending on the reference frame you're using. An object can be moving in one reference frame, but stationary in another. Imagine you're riding a bicycle. To someone on the sidewalk, you're moving. But to someone riding another bicycle next to you, you might not appear to be moving at all. You're both moving at the same speed. So, when figuring out if an object is in motion, we must consider the reference frame we use to make that judgment. The same object can be seen as either moving or stationary depending on our perspective or reference point. Remember, reference frames are like different pairs of glasses through which we view the world. They help us make sense of motion and understand how things move relative to each other.